If you've ever told yourself, I'm so lazy, why can't I just get it together? I want you to pause right there because chances are you're not lazy at all. You're dysregulated. Welcome to Healing Beyond the Symptoms, the podcast that helps people discover the root causes of their health struggles and take back control with science, strategy, and self-awareness. I'm Dr. Leah Hahn, a chiropractor and functional wellness doctor who believes that true healing starts beneath the surface. So let's dive in. People often label themselves as lazy when they just can't push through the fatigue or the stress or the burnout. But lazy implies a character flaw, when in reality, it's a nervous system issue. Their nervous system is dysregulated and patterned. A patient once said, I know what I need to do, but I just can't make myself do it. That's not laziness, it's dysregulation. And your body isn't failing you, it's protecting you. Let's go into what dysregulation can look like. One, it can be fatigue that rest doesn't fix. Even after you sleep, you may feel drained. You live in a chronic state of overwhelm, anxiety, stress, maybe fear. Your body doesn't recover and heal as it should. And your immune system succumbs to colds and flus and infections. You may even have wondered if you're dealing with an autoimmune condition. We can often experience freeze mode. The nervous system gets stuck in shutdown, making even small tasks feel impossible. You may have scattered energy. You swing between bursts of overdrive and then total collapse. Or emotional reactivity, irritability, anxiety, or even numbness that the system can't balance itself. Your emotions, whether they be anxiety or fear or sadness, move between big swings and feel like you can't regulate them. So why does this happen? Chronic stress actually pushes the body into survival mode. I've talked about different behavior patterns that are based on the fight or flight response. I want to explore more of the freeze response. The freeze response is one of the body's instinctive reactions to stress or threat that move right alongside fight, flight, or the fawn response. It's part of the autonomic nervous system's defense hierarchy. And it shows up when the body perceives danger, but neither fighting nor fleeing feels safe in that moment. Different emotional patterns with this can look like, I don't want to deal with this right now. I don't have the energy to deal with this right now. I'd rather not talk about it. I just want to shut down. How it can look in other ways, we'll see the freeze state. Their body and their mind are stuck between mobilization, which is that fight or flight response, and shutdown, which is the dorsal vagal response. They might even appear frozen or still or spaced out, or maybe even they're in a dissociative state. They're dissociating from the situation at hand. They might have difficulty moving or speaking or making decisions. I know I've had many experiences of life and going into the freeze response where I so wish I would have said something, but instead said nothing. I thought of when my body moved into safety, I thought of a billion things I could have said, but instead I just went into freeze mode. In that situation, a person may realize that they've been sitting and staring at their computer for hours after opening up a stressful email, but they haven't taken in any information. They haven't been able to digest information. They've literally been staring at their computer. They seem paralyzed by fear, or maybe they're unable to act or make a decision, even when action seems necessary. They may even start to withdraw socially or emotionally, a blank facial expression, little response to conversation. They may avoid eye contact or become quiet or detached. They could appear checked out or zoned out or numb. And they may procrastinate, stay stuck in indecision. I know what I need to do, but I can't start or take action. So if we look at the emotional experience of this, it can look like disconnection from feelings. So in that sense of fog or detachment or confusion, there may be fear mixed with helplessness. They want to move, but they actually just feel trapped. They may feel shame or self-criticism afterwards, like, why didn't I do something? Why didn't I respond? Why didn't I say something? So again, those physiological features of this, where the body is working to conserve energy in this state. It's in such a stressed state that it doesn't have the energy maybe to digest food or do hormonal imbalance or protect the immune system. Instead, it's actually slowing the heart rate and the breathing. The hands and feet may feel very cold. There may be tension in certain muscles, especially the neck and the shoulders and the jaw. There can be low energy or fatigue. And again, what we talked about with that flattened affect or blank stare. So again, this is the protective survival mechanism. And then when the nervous system, again, decides that it cannot fight or flee, that would make things worse, it instead immobilizes. So this is a part of the dorsal vagal response, which is a part of the autonomic nervous system of the body, which is usually we're wanting to have that parasympathetic response. This is actually a parasympathetic branch of the nervous system that's meant to help you go into rest and digest and repair mode, but instead it's actually becoming overactivated in response to shutdown. So it's actually going into this freeze response with the dorsal vagal system. What I have recognized this feeling as is if I'm driving down the highway and I hear an ambulance coming up behind me, but I don't know what that noise is, or I'm worried that I'm being pulled over, I'm actually feeling this sense of like my nervous system just dropping into my stomach. That's the dorsal vagal response. It's a complete freeze response. So again, remember that the vagus nerve has two branches. It has the ventral vagus branch, which is linked to safety and connection and our sense of well-being and this sense of calm engagement in life. But then the dorsal branch is linked to immobilization and energy conservation. So when we feel like we're in this state of safety, our ventral vagal system keeps us grounded and connected. But when that danger, that chronic stress, or those memories of trauma are inescapable or they're too overwhelming, the body can activate the dorsal vagal pathway instead. So what's happening in this response? We talked about how everything is slowing down. That feeling of numbness and disconnection, low energy, shallow breathing, slowed heart rate. But it also may be the sense of hopelessness or fogginess, emotional flatness as well. Because this is affecting the digestive system, there can be all kinds of digestive consequences that can go with this sense of freeze. It can be slow digestion or constipation, low stomach acid, so we're not breaking down nutrients as we should, bloating and fullness, loss of appetite. It may be even chronic inflammation. The immune system may stay dysregulated and altering between overactivation and underactivation. So we have slower wound healing, we have slower recovery, or we're more likely to have issues like colds and flus. We may even have reactivation of infections. So if you've dealt with Epstein-Barr or a herpes virus, and when your immune system isn't regulating itself, these things can come back with a vengeance. Impaired gut immunity. 70 to 80% of your immune system is located within your gut. And so when that's not functioning well, we can have all kinds of other issues developing or even an autoimmune issue starting. Low-grade fatigue or brain fog or just an unease, a feeling of being unwell. If this dorsal vagal system is being activated for short periods of time, it's your body's way of protecting itself when fight or flight isn't even possible. It's the body saying, it's too much. I just need to shut down until it's safe again. But over time, the nervous system forgets how to shift back into regulation if the dorsal vagal system is being activated chronically or over and over again. And the result is that you feel unmotivated. You feel checked out, when really your body is just conserving the energy that it needs to survive. This creates imbalances in your energy, your emotions, your digestion, your hormones, your immune system, and more. My purpose in talking about this is I want you to recognize what is happening so you can gently move back into a healing state, but you can also give yourself new messages. I'm not just lazy. My body is doing the work that it needs to do. And then when we have the right tools, we can move into a healthier state. But eventually you need to recognize what's happening within your nervous system and how it's functioning. When you understand the freeze and the dorsal vagal response, you understand why it's so important to create a ventral vagal response, or basically activate the vagus nerve in a healthy way. One of the most powerful ways that you can activate the vagus nerve in a healthy way is human connection. We are wired for safety through relationship, not in isolation. The role of connection in healing is both biological and emotional. It's deeply rooted in how the vagus nerve and social engagement function. So here's how it works. So connection actually signals safety to the body. When we experience warmth, empathy, eye contact, gentle tone, or an attuned presence from another person, your ventral vagal system is activated. This creates the safe and social branch of the parasympathetic nervous system to actually slow your heart rate in a healthy way, regulate things. It causes deeper and steadier breathing. It causes your facial muscles to relax, and it changes your voice tone. It improves your digestion and your immune system function, and it creates a sense of I'm safe now. These cues of safety from others literally tell us that the body can come out of defense. So moving from the fight or flight or the freeze back into regulation, into healing. Realize that co-regulation comes before self-regulation. What this means is that before we can calm ourselves, we first learn to be calmed through others, and this is called co-regulation. In infancy, we rely on our caregiver's soothing voice and their touch and their presence to regulate our physiology. But as adults, this continues. When we're near safe and grounded people, our nervous system can borrow their stability. Regular experiences of co-regulation help to rewire the nervous system towards safety and resilience. And connection can repair the effects of isolation and trauma. Trauma often creates disconnection from others, from the body, from the present moment, that dissociative state. Healing happens when those broken circuits of safety are restored through trust and empathy and genuine relational experiences. So whether through supportive friendships, therapy, community, caring practitioners, connection will help the body reorganize. One of the things that connection can do is create things like the feeling that I can be heard, I can be seen, I can be safe with others. That realization actually allows the nervous system to soften its defenses and return to balance. In the work that I do, how I show up is extremely important. So I want to explain a little bit more about that.
And we're going to take a quick break. This episode of Healing Beyond the Symptoms is sponsored by Body and Balance Wellness Center in Golden, Colorado. They know that real healing isn't about chasing symptoms. It's about uncovering the root cause of stress, tension, and imbalance. Their gentle nervous system-based care helps people release stored stress, reconnect to their bodies, and build resilience that lasts. If you've tried everything and still feel like something's missing, they may be the missing link. Learn more and book your consultation at bodyandbalancechiropractic.com. All right, and let's get back to the show.
In nervous system-based chiropractic care, when gentle adjustments are combined with a caring, very attuned presence, it can serve as a powerful co-regulator in those moments. The practitioner's calm voice, their tone, their grounding presence can actually become a biological invitation for a patient's system to be able to shift towards the ventral vagal system. So that's where healing can begin, is that relationship between the practitioner and the patient. Nervous system-based chiropractic can also help to activate the ventral vagal system in a way that not just its presence and connection, but the healing work can make all the difference for someone stuck in survival mode and actually physiologically activating that ventral vagal system as well. I think of how many patients I have worked with over the years that have come in that are stuck in the dorsal vagal system. they do feel lazy. They feel like they are in a dissociative state through much of their day. They're not able to connect with their loved ones. They just feel like their stress has become so high that their nervous system is going into checkout mode. And I think of one patient in particular who had astounding results as she really worked through healing this state. So what she would notice is that she had a very high-powered career. So she was working for the government and kept experiencing promotion after promotion after promotion, which was really exciting, but it also increased her level of responsibility tremendously and also increased her stress level. She started to get to the point where she wasn't sleeping well at night, but throughout the day, she would notice being stuck in survival mode, being stuck in that ventral vagal system. So her digestion would shut down, and she would find herself staring at her computer, losing a half an hour here, a half an hour there, in that stressed dissociative state. When she started working with us in care, what she noticed is that she was so numb that she couldn't really sense even what our contacts were doing for her. The only thing she could notice is that she would leave feeling a little bit more relaxed. But after a couple weeks of consistency, she noticed that her mind and her body started to connect again. She started to notice where she was carrying the tension. She noticed that she was able to feel that tension building throughout her day, so she could get up and walk away from her computer. She was able to go outside and take mini breaks, so she started to change her behavior as well. As the tension started to unwind from her system, that complete mind-body connection brought so much peace that she started to feel energized. She started to feel connected to the people that she was working with and the people that were basically under her supervision. She started to notice that her thoughts were becoming energized. Her emotions were connected with what she was feeling within her body. So as she started to heal and her system started to reorganize, not only did she continue to rise in those levels of promotions within her career, but she felt so much more adaptable and present to the stress that was there. That's the power of really regulating, but also healing the nervous system. You can function and do more, but do it in a healthy state and actually enjoy your life in the process. So let's talk about how to shift from that freeze nervous system that is dysregulated into a regulated nervous system. Instead of saying I'm lazy, say my nervous system is asking for regulation. So what's my plan? What can I do with this? Because this feeling is connected to the dorsal vagus nerve, we want to gently help the ventral vagus nerve to activate. Things like breathwork, humming, gargling, safe social connection can all help to activate the ventral vagus nerve. Regulating the stress response through nervous system-based chiropractic, other forms of somatic therapies, trauma-informed care can make a big difference in terms of regulating the nervous system. Think of adequate nutrition. I'm a big proponent of making sure you've got adequate protein, adequate fats, especially in the forms of omega-3 and antioxidants in every single meal. Think of restorative sleep and grounding practices. When I say that, I want you to think of micro resets throughout your day. So taking those opportunities to walk away from your desk, get outside for a few minutes, take a quick walk, maybe take a meditation break. All of those things can signal to the body that you are safe, that your nervous system can be regulated. And remember how important connection is. We want safe social connection, whether that be with friends, with a partner, with coworkers, but we want to have those instances where we can move into co-regulation, meaning your nervous system can borrow some of the regulated information from other people as well. We want to do that with trusted people in our network. We want to stop forcing and we want to start listening. Healing isn't just about pushing harder. It's about creating conditions where your body feels safe enough to show up again. And then, as always, seek gentle nervous system care. Network Spinal Care will use gentle contacts on the spine to help your body connect and release tension and return to a state where that energy flows through your system once again. Tactical takeaways from today's episode include: lazy is a label that hides the truth. Your nervous system is dysregulated. Fatigue, procrastination, or shutdown are not character flaws. They're survival patterns. And with nervous system support, you can shift from stuck and shut down to present and engaged. Thanks for joining me today on Healing Beyond the Symptoms. If you've been carrying the weight of that word, lazy, I hope this episode gave you a new perspective. You're not broken, you're patterned, and patterns can change. You can take the first step by booking a consultation at bodyandbalancechiropractic.com. And for daily encouragement, follow us on Instagram at Body and Balance Wellness Center. Until next time, breathe deep, listen in, and remind yourself you're not lazy, you're healing.
Thanks again for joining me today on Healing Beyond the Symptoms. If you've been curious about Network Spinal, or if you've tried everything else and still feel stuck, I want you to know this. Your body is not broken. It's patterned, and those patterns can change. If you're ready to experience how gentle care can lead to profound transformation, I'd love to invite you to book a wellness consultation at bodyandbalancechiropractic.com. Together, we'll look at what your body needs to finally release, reset, and thrive. Until next time, breathe deep, trust your body, and remember, gentle can be powerful.